in the year 1999 with our cardinal objective of mobilizing good people that will come together to brainstorm and put resources together to build a better society. I am making this speech with bitterness, worry, and dismay, but I have strong faith in what God that I serve can do, hoping that it shall be well with us soon enough. At times, I begin to wonder what our leaders they do self, because our past leaders and heroes have created an environment for a peaceful coexistence of all citizens. But it appears as if the present crop of leaders are not following in their footsteps. Rather, they seem to be pursuing their personal, ethnic, or religious interests. At official gatherings with reshaping Nigeria, many expected that it will be replicated in this administration, but we are disappointed. I am suggesting that Nigerians should create a body like Y, which will be established to stand under no arm of government, but giving the power to sanitize every arm of government, organization and individuals without fear of favor. The three arms of government should have hand in appointing those that will be in charge of this body, and only the same three bodies can remove them, or that their tenure has expired. The Y should be given power to investigate issues and make their reports public without consulting any arm of the government. Also, follow up their findings to a logical stage. They will be prosecuting any officer from any arm of government, irrespective of rank, private individuals and organizations too, so long as they are being found wanting. They will also be trained to carry arms to defend themselves. They must not come from police or any existing force. Fresh individuals with fresh training, with high integrity written in the society. When I say waiting our leaders they do self, it is not just the federal, state or local government, but leaders at all levels and organizations. I believe that 99% of crimes being committed in the society originates from one community or the other. And that is to say that a quick action has to be taken to train and give powers to community leaders to arrange some situation before the law enforcement are coming to support them. They should be trained on policing their communities and have channels of reporting to police their findings or situations. Finally, I encourage every Nigerian to find a way of supporting Nigerians' peaceful coexistence, economic development and security of lives and properties, just like we are contributing our quota to organizing this summit today. Also, during our peace building activities and research, we discovered that housing sector has the highest conflict rate, which is originating from landlords and tenants, or tenants and landlords. We then have to go deeper in our research that for now we are working relentlessly to ensure that anybody earning up to 30%, 30,000 naira as a minimum wage can own a house with the support of National Housing Fund. And this is being piloted in Enugu State now. And we plan to replicate this in other states as soon as we succeed in Enugu. Also, we created an online application that can be downloaded from Google Play Store with our acronym as BESOC. This has great features to support especially the youth in keeping them busy, and they make some income from games therein. You too can come up with an idea. And when we put all these ideas together, we should be making Nigeria a great nation. Happy work this day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was Engineer Chibikela Asigbe. He's the coordinator of VPAD and the CEO of ASBESOC, Association for a Better Society. Thank you very much. I also
paper will be shared to everyone, but I want to start by saying that usually when we want to talk about civil society organizations, we look at the state. The state. By that, I mean the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, and the functions that these organs of government performed. And if you look at the state and then you take these roles out, what remains for the civil society is the role that the non-state actors, like the market and like the family, and then others play in the political arena. So CSOs, therefore, are voluntary non-profit groups that are not created by the state. You won't hear that it was the creation of an APC or PDP government or the creation of any political leaders, but they exist playing a role within the political sphere in order to complement the effort of the state. And when we talk about peace, we understand that the state has instruments of cohesion. It has the security agencies that could help in the process of ensuring peace in the society. But civil society organizations also come in to help the state to ensure that there is peace. So CSOs are citizens-driven, and they exist and operate within a given society or political system by striving to articulate, advance, and then influence public policy, public opinion, the programs of government in such a way that its members or the generality of the public will benefit from the activities of government. But the CSOs are not being influenced or controlled by the government. Remember, we said they are not creations of the government. We can take the UNDP definition of 2004, maybe as a working definition for this presentation, which says that CSOs are private, voluntary, not-for-profit and autonomous entities that embark on the pursuit of common values and goals of their constituencies through collaborative actions. Next slide, please. So when we look at the categories of civil society's actors, we can now look at the special interest groups. Some exist to pursue special interests. We talk of Nigerian Union of Journalists, Nigerian Unions of Teachers, and other trade unions. They are part of the CSOs, but they pursue special interests of their members. We also have faith-based organizations. I'm happy that we have our bishop, Lord Bishop here represented. Most Anglican, most churches like Anglican Church, the Catholic and the rest, they also have CSOs that are faith-based. They're also doing a lot of work in the area of peace in Nigeria and other countries of the world. The traditional institutions and the community groups also come together to have council of elders, youth groups, women's groups that are also playing active role in the society, helping to influence government policies, redirect policies, and then monitor what government is doing and call them to action when they discover that the actions of government are being used against the people. We even have researchers and research institutions that are also part of the CSOs. Next slide, please. Civil society is a reflection of broader society. And what we mean by that is that at times, civil society organizations look at what is happening happening in the society, and then they now define their roles based on the situation at hand. For example, in Nigeria, for today, if you go to the Northeast zone, you will discover that most civil society organizations are there to help in ensuring peace and taking care of the people that are being displaced from their communities, and also doing a lot of work to ensure that government restore peace to the war-ravaged zones of the countries. So we have humanitarian or development service delivery organizations. We have those that are into human rights and advocacy. We have many of them, even in Enugu here. We have like the Human Rights Volunteer Corps in Enugu. We also have a lot of them that are playing, even the organizers of this event. They are also part of that. We have conflict resolutions and peace building. They are experts in that, and they say, okay, for us, our own objectives will be to resolve conflict and also help in peace building. We have those that are in social and political movement. Before 1999, we had a lot of them in this, playing this role. We have the civil liberty organizations. We have a lot of pro-democracy groups who were all CSOs fighting to ensure that the military return to the barracks, and then we are given the much cherished democratic government that we've been enjoying or witnessing since 1999. We also have those that are in business and those that are into networks. Next slide. Now, the topic has to do with what civil society can do in maintaining peace in a multi-ethnic environment. And if you want to look at a multi-ethnic society, you don't need to go far. You can just look at yourself or your country. Nigeria is a product of a forced marriage of over 250 ethnic groups. And it is a very good example of a multi-ethnic society. And therefore, bringing over 250 people who lived separately before and bringing them to live together, someone should be anticipating that there is going to be a lot of disagreement, fight for resources, scarce resources, and things like that. And therefore, Nigeria is a good example. So ethnic conflicts are clashes among two or more ethnic groups due to demand for power, the fight for scarce resources, the identity issues, social status, and things like that. So we see struggle for political powers, struggle for economic control, and a lot of struggles among these over 250 ethnic groups. So Nigeria is no doubt a good example of a multi-ethnic environment with all forms of crisis and conflict. And that is why it is very important that CSOs should live up to its expectation, because they should be anticipating conflict at any time, and they should be able to address it even before it gets to a high level. So today we are going to ask ourselves some basic questions. We may want to ask, does the civil society have any role to play in promoting peaceful coexistence in a multi-ethnic society like Nigeria? And if you will agree with me, our answer will be a straight yes. Do we all agree on that? Yeah. And then where do they derive their powers to play the role? Since they are not the police, they are not the civil defense, they are not in the army, where do they derive their powers? We shall try to answer some of these questions in the course of the presentation. You may also want to know, are they aware that they also have a role to play in a multi-ethnic state like Nigeria? Next slide, please. So we are going to look at the role in 3 dimensions. Before conflict, and that is the pre-conflict era, the civil society have a role that they're supposed to play. They are not supposed to wait until there is war, until there is conflict between the ethnic groups or between regions or between the geopolitical zones as we have in the country today. They have a role to play to maintain peace, to ensure that conflict does not occur. Secondly, if for any reason conflict occurs, which we should anticipate in a multi-ethnic state like Nigeria, the CSOs also have a role to play. And then when that conflict has been addressed, there is also the third dimension of participation of the CSOs in peace building. We look at the post-conflict era. It has happened in several countries. We look at the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, we have in Rwanda, and we also have in Sudan. So many other countries in Africa where CSOs played a lot of role in addressing what caused conflict, and then how can we stop it from reoccurring. In pre-conflict phase, we understand that for the CSOs, this is a very difficult phase, because you will assume that things are normal, that people are not fighting, so why should I bother myself to stress, and people might not take me serious. But we have seen within the past 6 years that some of the things we took for granted in pre-2015 Nigeria, we can no longer take it for granted today, because some of the things that normally wouldn't have caused trouble, normally wouldn't have brought conflict in the society, we are seeing them manifesting themselves today. So it is very, very important that CSOs live up to expectation, even when conflict or crisis has not occurred. So there is need to be sensitive to changing behaviors. And when they see red flags, you don't need to keep silent. We've seen what is happening in Nigeria today. Even here in southeastern Nigeria, we witnessed about 4 weeks or 5 weeks ago, there was an order for people to be sitting at home every Monday. And the first time it occurred, it was as if it might not lead to any problems. But we've seen that weeks after weeks, that order, which perhaps was a peaceful order, must have been mooted out of genuine reason, have been hijacked. Are we together here? Originally, the intention was not for people to be killed or for problem as a result of research. Now, please, let's do it this way. The way we used to live before, what we used to do before, that brought conflict. Now that we've been able to resolve that conflict, we will not want a reoccurrence. So CSOs can do all this so that we can re-strategize and come up with actions plans that will help to ensure that what happened is not happening again. They should actively participate and influence government to implement conflict-sensitive development interventions. A lot of things will lead to conflict, especially in Nigeria today. Lack of work, lack of food, economic reasons generally. Government, when it happens, government might think that, oh, it's just a little thing. The CSO should go beyond what government is to tell government. A lot of youth are unemployed. These places you are destroying, fine, you want to bring a policy that will be good to the environment, but people that are being displaced from where they used to get their source of survival, what will be done to them? Will you give them alternative sources of livelihood or not? If you don't give them, then be ready, because they will go back and constitute a nuisance and threat to peace and security in the society. So it's very important that in post-conflict era, a lot of things being done. Those who took part in the conflict, they have to be reintegrated into the society. So a lot of things need to be done. CSOs can carry out a program of de-radicalization of those who were involved in the crisis. And then after radicalizing them, carry out a program of reintegrating them into the mainstream of the community. A lot of people might not want to live with them until they are sure or they are assured that yes, these people will not become a security risk to them. So CSOs have a lot of role to play in terms of education and training in this regard. Please, next slide. Doctor have listed some of the ethnic conflicts we have in Nigeria. She has said the Igbo massacre of 1966, the clashes between the Sekri and the Jaw in Delta State. There are a lot of them. We can't mention all of them. Today we have recent agitation for secession by the IPOB and the Yoruba movement, the incessant crisis between herders and farmers, and then politically induced and religious induced crisis in Northeast. These are some of the things that led to crisis, or that may also lead to crisis in a multi-ethnic state like Nigeria. So what are the challenges that CSO may face in playing their role on promotion of peaceful coexistence? One is population. The number of CSOs that are involved in issues of peace and conflict are very few. So there might be need, because in a country of over 200 million people with over 250 ethnic groups, we don't even have up to 250 CSOs working in this very thematic area. So there is need to have more CSOs working in the area of peace and conflict resolutions. The challenge, another challenge can be in the area of resources. Local and indigenous CSO may not have adequate resources in peace promotion and processes. And then capacity. Those that are into peace building, into conflict resolutions, they also need to build their capacity. They need the skills to be able to mediate in conflict, the skill to be able to de-radicalize those that have laid down their arms, and then the skills to be able to reintegrate repentant conflict persons into the society. And then perceptions. This is another key challenge that they have, because most governments, both at the state and the national level, see the CSOs as competitors. They don't see them as partners in progress. They don't want to see them as those who are coming in to help government achieve, do what government is supposed to do. They see them as competitors. So it's very important that trust is being built between the CSOs and the government. It's also very important that CSOs also think of their own constituencies too. Most CSOs are being externally funded by international development agencies, and then they seem to be more accountable to the funders rather than the constituencies. So it is important that CSO think more of being accountable to their constituencies than the funders, and not allowing the funders to hijack the activities of the CSOs. Then the intention of CSOs to participate in peace building may be misconstrued, as local CSOs are also members of the multi-ethnic environment. I've said here that when you have a CSO, that majority of the members are from one ethnic group, irrespective of the intention of that CSO. Other ethnic groups might see them as those who work only for their ethnic nationality. So sometimes it is very important that we have a national representation on the CSOs. So it's important that CSOs show more interest. By way of recommendation, as I conclude this presentation, it is important that most CSOs begin to show interest in peace building and promotion of peaceful coexistence. Local CSOs need to build alliance across the board. And then there is need for them to give account more to themselves than to their funders. And then there's also need for CSOs to think of how to look for local resources in order to fund its activities. Because when CSOs keep depending for external funders, we all know that he who pays the piper does what? Dictates the tune. But if you have the financial muscle, if you have the wherewithal to do some of your activities locally in order to help your constituencies, you will succeed in doing that, and then the people will benefit better than when you always look for the donor in order to get funding. And also, we also want to say that CSOs that are being formed in Nigeria should always look at themselves as national CSOs. CSOs are not supposed to be ethnic based. When you are ethnic based, there is that tendency that you are likely to be biased. You can only be ethnic based if your intervention will be limited to your own ethnic group. But if you design your organization to be ethnic based and then you want to intervene at the national level, even when your intention is genuine, others may doubt your approach. So it is important that CSOs try to carry a national identity and not be regional or ethnic based. I want to stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think we can do better than that. That was a very lovely presentation. Please put your hands together again for me. Thank you very much, Mr. Brandford of Coal City University, presenting that paper, The Role of CSOs in Promoting Peaceful Coexistence in Multi-Ethnic Environments such as Nigeria. We will move to the next presentation, which of course will come from His Grace, the Most Reverend E.O. Chukwuma, the Archbishop of Enugu Ecclesiastical Province and Bishop Enugu Diocese Anglican Communion. But just before I introduce the man who is representing him, we have someone from the ICPC, representing the ICPC here, talking about the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. We have Godwin Achille from the ICPC Enugu office. Is the head PE and Education. Please put your hands together for him. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I also have Emeka Okani. Sorry? Okara. Okay, Mr. Emeka Okara is a senior investigator with the ICPC. Thank you very much for coming. Put your hands together for him as well, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. So, we'll go straight to the second presentation, which will be for the Most Reverend E.O. Chukwuma, and he's represented by Venerable Ikenna Nwachukwu. Please put your hands together for Venerable Nwachukwu.
Okay, thank you very much. I am the Venerable Ikenna Nwachukwu, representing His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. E.O. Chukwuma, OON, who is unavoidably absent. Right now, he is in Lagos, where they're holding a standing committee of Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. A speech presented to Enugu Peace Summit, the occasion of World Peace Day, on this 21st day of September 2021, by His Grace the Most Reverend Dr. E.O. Chukwuma, OON. Topic: religious leaders' roles in building good moral behavior in their followers for promotion of safe and peace.
Well, at the end of the Okay, at the end of the session, you meet me for an interaction. I will tell you why I'm retired. I'm tired. I'm not a politician, but I'm a political animal. This observation of protocols and the rest of them, I'm not used to it. But I want to thank the chief for fishing me out. If he had not fished me out, I would not be here. But he knows I'm tired. But my Lord spiritual and temporal, as BESOC members, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be here to make this small presentation. Go ahead. Yes, the title of the lecture is Harmonious Cooperation Between Law Enforcers and Civil Societies in Combating Social Vices in Enugu State, in the Southeast Geopolitical Zone, the South-South, and Nigeria in general, and the whole world. Because if there's no peace here, I don't think we'll be gathered talking about World Peace Day. If you go to Somalia, you appreciate what I'm talking about. If they will go together, so much security personnel will be hanging around with anti-weapons trying to stop terrorists from getting close to us. Go ahead. Just go straight to the chapters. Yeah. Yes, anywhere I go to deliver lectures, I want to whet the intellectual appetite of my listeners. And I start by making quotations. I describe as the preface. What is the preface? Preface. Yes. Let me start with what Omeu says about NGOs. He says human rights protection is one of the most wonderful things any people can engage in, but not in the fashion people that make a living with it do in Nigeria. If country A or K say no to capital punishment, they find some NGOs somewhere in Nigeria funded to force the position down our throat. And in Nigeria, we stretch it to pamper criminals. Just as the Nigerian judicial system is very unkind to victims of crimes. Well, I'm quoting him. Let us be ruminating and thinking about these things. It will help us appreciate what I'm going to present. Babagana Mangono, the incumbent National Security Advisor, says intelligence remains the most effective instrument in fighting insurgency and banditry. The world is not getting any safer, and espionage remains a first line of defense. These Americans don't play with espionage. That is why at times, sorry to say, that CSOs are accused of being manipulated by some intelligence services to spy. I hope you appreciate what I'm talking about. Well, let's keep thinking. The worst natural disaster any country can have is bad leaders. It is worse than hurricanes, worse than tsunami, worse than volcanoes, worse than wildfires and flood combined. Security is everybody's business, but good way community gets and hunger they killer. The security is everybody's business. If you don't assign things to people, there must be confusion. In a community where a goat is owned by all, hunger kills it. Because if you take a step, they say, well, Mrs. One for no is going to feed the goat. And when she comes and says, the other time I fed the goat, let somebody else do it, she passes by. And at the end of the day, that is what is killing Nigeria. They say everybody, security is everybody's business. It's not true. We must hold people accountable for what is happening in our country. Kidnappers said to one man they kidnapped, and when he was paying his ransom, he used fake naira notes, 5 million, to pay the ransom fee. And they were saying to him, God will judge you. At the situation we have found ourselves, and they told the man now. They kidnapped and said, well, no problem. He was thinking about how to deal with them too. And while he was paying his ransom fee, he paid a fake naira. And the criminals are saying that God will do what? This God is very merciful. Destroying any nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by the students. Patients die at the hands of such doctors when they graduate. There are doctors we call internet doctors. If you go to the office for consultancy or consultation, they open their internet and say, hey, my friend, what is wrong with you? Doc, in the morning I have stomach problem. You keep eating stomach problem. You say, yesterday I had fever. He said, fever. I said, he will enter. Things will come. I said, okay, go and buy chloroquine. If we allow such things to happen in our educational system, when people cheat with alacrity, then there's trouble. Go to the next slide. Of all passions capable of enslaving man's will, none is more incompatible with reason and liberty than religious fanaticism. One of the problems of Nigeria. Next. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. What you are doing, you people are doing well, the CSOs, but the rest assured that it will not be easy for you. Hope you understand. It's not going to be easy for you people. Alright. We have this freedom of, at each moment, to break free from all our old habits and choices and forge ourselves anew. But it's also something we can find today as we make our choices in anguish, abandonment, and despair, which is why we end up deceiving ourselves about this radical freedom. That's not like freedom. Jinjaku says that man is born free, but wherever he goes, he's in chains. Go ahead. Go ahead, please. Go. The tyranny of a prince in an oligarchy is not so dangerous to the public welfare as the apathy of a citizen in a democracy. In a democracy, you guys will have to help also. If not for people like you, associations like you, will have been worse than what you are seeing. Because when you begin to talk, when you begin to write, when you begin to agitate, government they fear. Even though they say after God now government, but government they fear at times. When they see agitations like the ones you people are engaging, they want to obey that and listen. Please continue to do so. In all fighting, the direct method may be used for joining battle, but indirect methods will be needed in order to secure victory. As you fight openly, please use the back door to do what? To do it. There are certain things you don't come to join in the public domain to know that you are fighting. If you go underground at times, it's better. Much better. To win without war is the best. So is the best. If you can win without fighting, that is the best for all of us. And there will be peace at all times. The stability of a nation is not necessarily determined by the absence of conflicts, because conflicts constitute an integral part of human social existence. That's Obasanjo. If there is no lion in the jungle, what happens? It's not a jungle. Whenever you find human society, there must be conflicts. And part of the things you do is conflict resolution. You try to intervene and all that. We'll get to that. A place should not deviate from what is good. That is possible. But you should know how to do evil if it is necessary. As leaders, with due permission from the clergy, who is representing our bishop, at times you have to adopt evil ways to achieve some goal. That is Niccolo Machiavelli. Happiness lies only in that which excites, and that which excites is crime. You are out to fight crime. You are out to fight crime. With the things you do, you are out to fight crimes. All right. Politics offers no neat and clean decisions. Only dirty compromises. Only dirty. Remain apolitical. The first president talked about being apolitical. If you must succeed, avoid politics. But I don't know how you survive avoiding politics in a given polity. I don't know. But you can try to do it. A freedom fighter that lives in peace with his oppressor is compromised. There are 3 places for true freedom fighters. You guys are freedom fighters, and these are the places for you. One is prison. The other one is to send you on exile. The other one is where everybody will go to at the end of the day. But we don't want to go now because we are helping the society. Go ahead. Yes, we want to talk about wisdom. This is a young pastor who says the rich get richer because of wisdom, and the poor poorer. The poor get poorer. Small thing in the middle. This activity will continue ad infinitum, except Nigeria is obliterated from the surface of this earth. Except the world goes out of existence, these things will continue to happen. I'm sorry, I will not take time to begin to explain them, but those who have access to it, if you read it, you will appreciate what we are doing, what government is doing, and not the rest of them. Please go ahead. In philosophy, if you're a philosophy student, you always ask people to define their terms. What do you mean by harmony or harmonious and the rest of them? What are law enforcers? Who are law enforcers? We have to define terms. But I don't want to go to the nitty-gritty of defining terms, because if we begin to define terms today, we'll sleep here without, So go ahead. You have access to it and you do these things. Go ahead. Let's go. All right. No matter where you operate in a medium. You don't operate in a vacuum. The CEOs don't operate in vacuum. They don't. They operate in what they call regime types. It could be a democracy, it could be an authoritarian system, authoritarianism. Somebody talked about going to Taliban to live. They have what they call Talibanism. It's a form of government now. I don't think anybody would want to go from Nigeria to Taliban to go and have some peace. When I was in Akwa Ibom, I had some fun. I was enjoying myself, going to Makosa night and the rest of them. I was transferred to Kaduna, and my colleague said, Oga, Sharia don't catch you. Sharia don't catch you. I said, when I get there, I will survive. You know? If you move to where there is no peace, you will know that we're enjoying where there is peace. So please continue to offer peace. So you cannot operate outside a vacuum. There must be a system where you operate. It could be democracy, it could be theocracy, it could be sultanism, it could be anything. But two things always come to mind. There are two communities we always encounter: the political community and the religious community. You can't avoid it. Every system, every regime type, every government, two things are key: religion and politics. Because man knows that he cannot do without God. But at times some of these things are abused. In the political community, we'll talk about marginalization, blah, blah, blah. People are giving preference to certain ethnic groups. The power is not properly shared. In the health sector, we don't have hospitals here. A lot of things. So you operate in two communities, there are other communities that make up any regime type. call it democracy, call it sultanism, even in Talibanism. You see what they did to that woman, if you have watched certain things on social media. That was a woman who came out without a man, because if you want to go out, if you're a woman, somebody must escort you. And this woman came alone. They read some parts of the Quran and what? And shot her. It's part of Talibanism. It's a government. And you people operate here. Am I telling lies? CSOs operate here. They operate. You cannot avoid, because you must do some humanitarian jobs. You must help people. They are there. Will you say they're not working where they have Boko Haram infested conflict? Your people are there. CSOs are there. They are working. So, for you to perform, you must work in a particular environment. It could be a democracy or whatever. So, you have two communities will have in mind: the political aspect, and the religious aspect. In religion, even some of the things people write and say about other religions are just something that cannot be printed. It's better imagined and described. And you work in such communities. Even some of your colleagues, I used to read what they say. I'm even told that an individual can be a CSO. Am I right? An individual can be a CSO. One man riot squad. One of them is, sorry, let me not mention names. But you know the man I'm talking about. To abuse Christianity, call them names, because somebody misbehaved, he will just lump everybody together and cause an abuse. It's alright. So these are places you have to work in. What are these social vices that we're talking about? When I was given this topic, I thought it was an easy thing to do. And I saw that they're talking about social vices like wickedness, having sex after marriage. And I said, no, I have to think wider. So I had to bring all these problems, all these stress that are bothering the country. You know, one of them is terrorism. I would describe terrorism as the mother of all crimes. Terrorism is the mother of all crimes. There's no kind of crime that you cannot find in terrorism. Just mention any crime. Child trafficking is there. Women trafficking is there. Prostitution is there. Just mention any crime. All there. Kidnapping, cultism, car hijacking. We are told that some of these terrorists, what they do, how they raise money. It's one of the things I'm going to tell you guys today, that you have to do some high-level liaison with security agencies, so that if you do it, they will begin to give you insight into how recruitment is done, how they target people for recruitment, how they do it, where they ask you to come, and the techniques and tactics they use in recruiting people, how they fund these things and all that. If they give you publish, in fact, I think the world is afraid to publish how these terrorists operate, their modus operandi, their recruitment processes, their training processes, and all that. So, when we go to some of the things, we'll tell you, we'll elaborate on that. So the social vices are so many, but I've singled out terrorism, and I said the mother of all crimes. Then we have prostitution. We have male prostitutes. We have female prostitutes. Then we have political prostitutes. They create problems in the system. And before we're getting to 2023, and you will see more political prostitutes operating, and they create problems in the system. It's alright. What is it? Okay. What are the causes of these social vices? One is poverty. Poverty of the spirit, and poverty, what they call material poverty. Poverty of the spirit. Somebody will say that if he kills a fellow human being, he will go to heaven and have 77 virgins, choice wines, pure milk and honey, and all that. It's not a poverty of the spirit. How can you be not finished enjoying this place? You'll go to heaven and have 77 virgins. It's poverty of the spirit. I was asking one of my friends, we were discussing this issue of compensation. You know,
the kingship or the traditional institution or the Igwe or whatever comes from so
lineage. But today, it's no longer the same. You see, in various communities, what you see is that they say that traditional rulers now is rotational. After this community, after this village, it will go to the next village. After this village, it will go to the next village. Well, it is good if it is working. But what we have discovered is that in most places, it's not working the way it used to be. And what happens is that sometimes somebody will come up from nowhere and he impose himself on the community to be their traditional ruler. What is the resultant effect? The resultant effect is that most people who are not happy with that situation will form a clique. That clique will do what? Disobey whatever instruction that person is giving or whatever leadership style he's trying to bring. Most people will not align themselves with that institution. And in that regard, there will be conflict in that community. The traditional ruler will no longer have the grip of the community because he doesn't command respect anymore. Now, in police campaign against cultism, where we concern ourselves, we see this program as a grassroots program. It is not only cultism that we are talking about. There are other social vices in the communities. Before, we used to hear about cultism at university level. Somebody is in the university, he's a Capone, he's doing that. You have to have a black ass, you have so many of them. But today, we are concerned that this issue of cultism have left the university and now gone down to our various villages, among the artisans, among the Okada riders, among the butchers, among the mechanics, even primary school children, and gives us worry. Now, what are we supposed to be doing in the traditional setting? Most of the people that are supposed to, be working against these circumstances we find ourselves, when you look inward, you discover that most of them are even the people propelling this situation. Because of what? Greed. Power. They want to maintain their status in society. And therefore, that is where you will see some people, organized group of people, group of boys and girls, to be working for them, either as a dog, either as anything they can think of, because they want to maintain a particular situation they have found themselves, forgetting that their own children are not among those ones. So when we go to communities, we talk to them, we talk to youths. Before somebody will call you to come and be my talk, political talk, tradition, whatever name you want it to be, ask the person, where is your son? Or where is your daughter? It's very important. Now, the police campaign against cultism and other vices is an initiative of the Nigerian police force. What we're trying to do here is to use this platform to see how we can cut off the supplier chain, the conveyor belt. When we pass this message to our young ones, pass this message to our elders, pass this message to our traditional rulers, to see the need for them, to see their position as a very critical office, a very critical stool that they can use to
monitor what is happening in their environment, and have a firm grip of their various communities. There is no person that does not come from somewhere. A situation where a subject of a national ruler comes home suddenly and instantly rich, and during the New Year festival or whatever, the national ruler now sends message for him to come and to be given a chieftaincy title, without finding out this boy has been in this village. Just within a space of 5 months, he's back. As you know, again, then you, as a traditional ruler, then the next New Year festival or whatever, after the number one, one, not two. Now, what are you trying to do? You are now teaching other ones struggling, trying to live, the ones that are trying to live modest life, that are trying to work hard to make ends living, that it doesn't matter. That what matters is the community making it. So gradually, most of us in the villages are losing the norms, the cultural values that we are known for in this part of the world, and it is not helping our society. Now, in Bliss campaign against cultism, what we are also trying to do is to encourage parents. There's a place we went to, and I was speaking. Somebody said, "No, my children will not suffer the way I suffer." Yes, nobody is praying for that. But the question you have failed to ask yourself, those things you considered suffering, did they actually help you in life, or did they destroy you? Today, most of us parents don't want our children to engage in life coping skills anymore. Self-made, life easy, everything will be just going for us. Even when your child is given assignment, homework to do, you will not allow that child to think. Maybe the child has a younger brother, a younger sister, or even a house help. The house help will do everything for her. She will be sleeping, or him. Then at the end of the day, what do you want that child to become? How do you want that child to know that I want to drink water, I can go to the fridge and get water for myself and drink? No, your child cannot do that now. Anyway, the maid should go there, get the water for the child, even feed the child water, because you want to show that child that you do what? You love him or her. So we encourage parents to allow their children to do certain things by themselves. Challenge them. Life coping skills. It doesn't kill. It helps you. Because tomorrow you don't know where you're going to find yourself. One man said that nobody that will stay in Nigeria will be threatened with hellfire. I don't know whether the person is correct or I don't know. But what he's trying to say is that there is so much things that you can do here that can help you survive anywhere you find yourself, if you allow yourself to do so. But in a situation where we don't allow ourselves, we don't allow our children, we do everything for them, they are not engaged properly. Then, today, the easiest way of making money is politics in Nigeria. Sorry, but that is the truth. That's the way we find what we have discovered. Somebody will be struggling. You can go and join them now. Join politics before you become. Maybe he is elected as a councillor. a councillor for 2 years, and he'll be building 3-story building at a time. 1 year at a time as a councillor. Then a professor in university cannot comfortably buy new tires for his car. A professor. So these are some of the challenges we are talking about. So in governance too, the political class should also look at these challenges. Are they helping the society to reduce crime, or are they encouraging it? If they are not encouraging it, they should, in all honesty, tell themselves that they are not encouraging it. But if they are encouraging it because of their own pecuniary interest, then there is something I saw here. I said that by Obafemi Awolowo said that the children of the poor you fail to train today will not allow your own children to what? To have peace. I saw it here and I think it made sense to me. Today, we might think that we are in a comfortable place, in a comfortable situation. But tomorrow, what will happen when you are no longer there? And the people that are behind you, you have not positioned them well to take after you. Then it becomes a challenge. Now, in police campaign against cultism, also, we try to look at issue of neglect, abuse. The other day, there's something I was listening to a radio television program. I think in NTA, is Umada or something, and they mentioned something that is so pathetic. That a woman, a mother used a hot iron. Is it either hot iron or hot knife on her housemaid? What happened? Because the little girl urinated on the bed. And she said, okay, do not urinate again. If you are a husband and you discover that your wife is hot-tempered, please monitor what happens when you are not there. Monitor your home. If you're a woman and you discover that your husband is hot-tempered, monitor what happens when you are not there. It's very, very important. It's going to help us because the traditional institution we are talking about, the family is there. The society, or the larger society is there because everybody comes from somewhere. Everybody comes from somewhere because the family is the nucleus of the entire society. If you get it right from the society, from the family, of course it will go down to all of us and the society will be a better place for us. A situation where government takes charge of everything, government wants to take charge of everything, brings problem. Especially when it has to do with something that has to do with culture and tradition. The people should be given the opportunity to manage their own affairs in their own way. A situation where it's a government that can now appoint who becomes a traditional ruler in a community is not helping a society. Pushing the entire, maybe the greater percentage of the community against the selected few. What it means is that in such society, there can never be progress because the people that will be working for that's supposed to be working for the progress of the community will be engaged in settling the issue between them and traditional ruler. And that is why when you go to many courts today, you see that a lot of communities are in court over Igbe tussle or the red one and the rest of them. Either Town Union or Igbe, they are in court from one court to the other. And the little money the community is supposed to be generating to be using to develop their community, they are spending it in court. So government should assist the people at the grassroots. Critically, yes, government may have interest in somebody, but convince the community convince the larger number of the community why this person, you think that this person is the right person to be in such office, not imposing such a person on the community. Because when such imposition comes, it means that that community can never have peace. And any community that does not have peace can never have development. And any community that does not, that you can't find any development there, of course, the people there suffers. You will see a lot of them trying to move away from their communities to go to another place where some other people have made comfortable. Today, if you ask many young Nigerians where would they want to go, they will say Nigeria will not be one of them. They will be mentioning names, forgetting that it is people like them that make that place to be comfortable. Those places they want to run to, it's people that make that place comfortable. So we too can make our own society comfortable. And that is why the police campaign against cultism and other vices, POCACO, which, as earlier said, is an initiative of the Nigerian Police Force. Because we discovered that over the years, fighting crime through the barrel of guns, shooting, arresting people, detaining them, has never solved any problem. Has never solved any problem, and it will not solve any problem. It's community engagement that can solve problems, dissuading people from getting involved in the first place. Because when somebody, if my brother here mentioned that if you arrest somebody who, because of a sachet of marijuana, you arrest the person, yes, it's illegal by law for him to have it. Then you, as a security agent or law enforcement officer, arrest the person, then send him to prison. By the time the person comes out from prison, he will graduate from smoking one wrap to selling, in bags. That is what we have discovered. So, is it not better that when you see such a person, you counsel him? Know that that person has a problem. Don't send him to another school where he will graduate. Yes, because sending him to prison, he will graduate. There is a research going on now. Some people want, when they get to prison, they learn internet fraud. Yeah, we are working on it. They learn it. So they will always like to do something, because if maybe they stay there like 3 months, they are released, they will always want to do another thing that will still send them back because they have not finished their course. You see, so they have not finished their course, so they will have to go back so that by the time you come out, you become an expert in internet fraud. So let us not try to push them to that. Let us see how we can assist our society by dissuading our young ones, by showing good examples as elders, as traditional rulers, as government officials, as parents to our younger ones, so that at the end of the day, the society will be a better place for all of us. Now, this program you people are working on is a very nice one. In survival, like my brother Solomon, there's a program we attended, and he said, there was one quotation he made that day, which I cherish so much. He illustrated something, that a wise king was living with a young boy, and this young boy is always inquisitive to find out things. He always asks questions, and this wise king is always ready to offer solutions to his problem. Now one day, the young boy now caught a cricket and hold the cricket in his palm and hid it. So he went to the king and said, "Daddy, there is something I'm having here. I want you to tell me whether this cricket I'm having here now is dead or alive." So the king looked at him and told him that the life and death of that cricket you're having is in your heart. So the boy don't know what to say again. His reason. If the king had said that the cricket is alive, he will squeeze the cricket and cricket will die. He said, hey, I told you, you have failed this one. And if the man had said the cricket is dead, he will bring it and say, hey, look at it, it's alive. So the wise king now told him that the life and death of that cricket is in your hand. So the life and death of this program is in all of us, is in our hands. If you want to make our society a better place, it's for all of us. And that is why we have our slogan in Bukakov, Bukakov is all about you. It's all about you. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let us see how we can make this program work, make our society a better place for everybody to live. Thank you, and remain blessed.
Thank you so very much. ASP Kirian Igwe, representing the National Coordinator of Bokakov, Ebere Amarizu. Let's put our hands together for him one more time. Thank you. Alright, we have just one more presentation and we will call in wraps, not for the day but for the presentations. We have partners who sent high-powered delegation to represent them, NAPTIP, the ICBC, the National Human Rights Commission, the Ministry of Rural Development, of which the Honorable Commissioner is very much present. I would like to crave the indulgence of these persons to please allow the last presenter to speak, and then we will take comments and reactions from you and your submissions as institutions. The last will be on curbing youth restiveness, a panacea for social economic growth of communities. Curbing youth restiveness, a panacea for social economic growth of communities. It will be presented by Mr. Greg Anyebudike. He's worked in the field of CSOs for a very long time. He was a former managing director of Enugu State Waste Management Authority. And he did a very good job there then, and I'm sure that he will do justice to this topic. Put your hands together for Mr. Greg Anyebudike.
Thank you very much. I want to stand on the existing protocol. However, there's a protocol that added to the existing ones, which I must recognize. The presence of the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Rural Development, Chief Prince Emeka Mama. Thank you very much. And my Lord Bishop here, members of the Bukakov and VPAD, right? Yeah, the chairman. And the organizers of this event. It's always it's advantage to speak last. Number one, people are tired. Number two, whatever you want to say, people have said it. So I am standing on the fact that for whatever everybody have said here before now, I'll be adding my little bit to it. Sometimes I may repeat what they've said, but I think everything is resonating around peace. It's resonating around how we can work together and work better to achieve peace. So my topic is curbing youth restiveness, a panacea for socio-economic growth of communities. At first, I didn't know what to do because this is a bit uncomfortable. Let me remove it. At first, there was nothing like peace there in the topic I was giving, and it went to youth. And I looked at other topics, and there was nothing like youth there. However, I said I must forge ahead with this. I'm going to be very, very fast. I'm not going to spend much time on this. So while they are trying to upload the presentation, I can be using my own presentation here. So this is Enugu Peace Summit during the World Peace Day. Peace, better pass Wahala. That's the topic. And another one we say, what did our leaders they do self? What did they do? As much as possible, I've tried to see how I can engage this topic from a positive and lack of peace. However, I'm trying as much as possible to look at it from a positive angle. Now, my name is Greg. Like I said, I've worked with the Waste Management Authority. I work with civil society. I've worked with development agencies too. Incidentally, the first person that was presented here was my colleague when we were working in a DFID program. Right now, I consult for World Bank. So the objectives of this session is to understand the effective words in this presentation. And when you talk about the effective words, you talk about youth, restiveness, socioeconomic growth of communities, and you can't say all these things without talking about development. Again, I tried to extract the youth and taking restiveness from a positive and practical perspective. So most of the things I'm going to be speaking about, I try to make it practical so that it resonates with us today. And it's something we can take home and say, this is what we should be doing. So that's the basic things that we'll be seeing in this presentation. However, today is World Peace Day, and I want to dwell a bit about peace. Many people call it many things in their languages, but I must say that peace has every color. Usually people use white to represent peace, but black is peace, red is peace, yellow is peace, green is peace. Everything color, everything language is peace, because peace is an action word. It's not just what you say passively. You must actively promote peace. Whether you're a white person, whether you're a black person, whether you're Hispanic, whichever tribe or race you belong, whether you're Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, any race, any tribe in Nigeria has peace. Igbo na we are udo. Hausa can say salam, salam alaikum. Igbo can say ye udo efe. For the Zakwa and Alpha say solu udo. That is what it is. Yoruba can say Alafia, still peace. Even in German, the Dutch will say Verd, still peace. Pie, the French will say pie, still peace. As the case may be. So peace has every color, every language, and whatever we are representing today becomes peace for us. Then there are key words which I said we're going to find out. Things about youth, development, social development, economic growth and development, economic and social development. I'm going to rush some of these things. There are standard definitions. So, giving background to this, we're going to talk about development. It's the result of society capacity to organize resources to meet these challenges and opportunities socially and economically. So, whenever a society like ours, in Enugu State, in Nigeria, in our communities, in our village, even in our neighborhood where we are living now, anytime we are able to put up a capacity is in various forms. Human capacity, even health is part of capacity. And we are able to organize our resources, whatever it is we have, to meet the challenges and opportunities. Then we are saying that we are on the trajectory of development. Then economic growth is the process by which a nation and individual's wealth increases over time. So today you have 100,000 naira. Tomorrow you have 1 million naira. That means you are having economic growth. But the most important aspect of this is social development. It's about improving the well-being of every individual so that they can reach their full potential. So when we talk about well-being, everything is about well-being. The director here talked about hold up 3 hours from NNPC to Gariki. That is not well-being at all. That is not well-being. But moving like 5-10 minutes to Gariki, that's a well-being. Coming out and hearing a foul smell around you in terms of dirty environment, it's not well-being. Getting sick and not getting attention at the hospital is not well-being. It's raining, you don't even know where to stay because your roofs are leaking. It's not well-being. So well-being is the totality of a human being. And that is actually what will give you peace. Something happened when I came here. I had to travel down to Enugu this morning from my village to meet up with this. And because I was rushing, I was with my family, I didn't give myself personally a good well-being. And when I came here, my body did not give me peace until I gave it a well-being, and I got peace. And if I didn't give it, I may not be peacefully talking here now. And that is how life is. In everything you do, you must try as much as possible to give well-being around you. So we cannot talk about peace without well-being. But let's not forget about our topic, which is youth restiveness. So all we are saying is that the success of society is linked to the well-being of each and every citizen. We also say that investing in people, removing barriers, so that all citizens can journey towards their dreams with confidence and dignity. That's what we are talking about. We are talking about refusing to accept poverty and helping people to achieve self-sufficiency. Even we are talking about leadership in communities. If there's a community in crisis, there's no well-being there. And if you don't have well-being, we will not have peace. So we're talking about growth of individuals, which by extension leads to growth of citizens. Even growth of children, because most of the vices we have today, most of the lack of peace we have today is coming out of people, the way people are raised. For example, in Japan, the first 6 years of a child's life in Japan, the child does not go to school. This one that we usually have a culture of going to school for children by 3 years. In Japan, 6 years you don't go to school. What do? Your mother teaches you how to wake up in the morning and make your bed. Teaches you how you wake up in the morning and sweep the house. Eat and clean your plate. Greet people in the morning. Appreciate people that does everything good for you. When you learn this from 0 to 6 years, and research has found out that at that 6 years that child starts that school. Everything that child has learned from 3 years to 6 years in our own system, the child learns it in 1 year. Because the brain has developed. So it's part of the kind of social well-being we should be talking about. How do we train our children? Do we carry them in the car and shout at people? Do we carry them in the car and throw things out of the window? It's what they see you learn that they do. And that is the society you produce. So if we really want peace in our society, as we are having a lack of peace now, we may not get it immediately, but in the next 6 years, if you have a child today, and train that child very well in the next 6 years, then we should be having a better society then. So it's about long-term planning as well. But we cannot be training wrong children and expect peace in our society. We can't train wrong children and expect that there will be well-being in our society. A society whereby if you step online in a traffic jam or traffic hold-up, everybody thinks you are a fool. Everybody will want to jump in and block the road. That is anarchy. That is no peace. And I think we are having such lack of peace in Enugu this moment. Especially the keke and the keke buses. There will be a line, they will create 4. They will block everywhere. And it's happening at every junction. There is no way we will have peace if we don't deal with some of these attitudes. And then, one of the other keywords we talked about is youth. And the simple term is that between 18 and 29 years in Nigeria, you are considered a youth. The youth occupy prominent places because the youth is very relevant. And we are talking about youth restiveness. Their relevance is that they are the heartbeat of any society. They are the leaders of tomorrow. But not that they are only leaders, they outnumber the elderly ones. The people in the middle ages and people at the aged level, the youth are more than in their number. So they have a very strong energy. And this energy is so strong that the ideas they have promote a great society. So if we have youth that have great ideas and we train them well to bring out that energy in their ideas, then we we are going to have a great society tomorrow. Otherwise, we see a different thing. Well, through their creative talents and labor power, a nation makes giant strides in economic development and socio-political attainments just because they are the youth. In their dreams and hopes, a nation found their motivation on their energies. She builds her vitality and purpose, and because of their dream and aspiration, the future of the nation is assured. There is what I usually quote. There's a book called Startup Nation. Startup Nation is I don't know who has read it. Anybody has read Startup Nation here? Has anybody read a book called Startup Nation? It's a book that describes the tiny country called Israel. A tiny country called Israel is actually sustained by their youth. There are about 8.5 million people. But one of the major things that make Israel what they are today, a world superpower, a first-class nation, is because of their youth. What did they do? When everybody was against them, they went inwards. And their youth started developing startup businesses. So they started thinking, and with the energy, they developed lots of businesses in the world that entrepreneurs and venture capitalists and investors had to pay and develop those businesses. Today in the world, Israel has more than 4,000 startups, the highest by any country in the world. 7.5 million, in America about 230 million. Israel has more startups than America. And most of the technology that is driving the world today are from those startups. Even this financial revolution, these ATMs, OPay, Flutterwave, these are all Israel startups. And it is their youth that developed it. So the energy and the aspiration of these youth are deep in any country's development. I'm trying to bring out the relevance of the youth. So if we are here thinking about restiveness, and people are there thinking and using their positive energy to develop their country, then we should have everything. As most active segment of any society, youth are the major determinants of peace and stability of a nation. Yes, because if they come out well, if they come out positively, you will see a lot of peace. If they come out wrongly, you will see a lot of anarchy, and it will continue to plague that nation. So the youth should actually be taking a center stage in every government decision in the world. And that is why there are problems in the communities. So National Youth Policy 2001 affirms that the extent of youth responsible conduct and roles in society is positively correlated with development of their country. So we can actually say that the way Nigeria is today is the kind of youth Nigeria have today. It's a very simple thing. They are highest in voting. They are highest in energy. If you say that you run 200 meters, some will run 500 just to put up that energy. And are the leaders using that energy to support them? I wouldn't know. So the youth are very relevant, and I want to dwell so much on the relevance of the youth so that we know where our restiveness is coming from. Then we talk about youth restiveness. I'm a scholar, so I usually quote people because I don't want to be held for plagiarism. Enugu in 2005 defined youth restiveness as a sustained protestation embarked upon to enforce desired outcomes from a constituted authority by an organized body of youth. Sustained protestation. It is marked by violence and destruction of lawful activities. That is the major characteristic of youth restiveness. But personally, I see youth restiveness as the attitude that an uneducated and unpolished, in quotes, uneducated and unpolished youth resort to when they feel they want something from authority or government, instead of exploring more intelligent means of achieving the same thing. So any youth that is restive today, I see that youth as unintelligent and uneducated. Because for whatever you want to achieve, there must be something that will support it. Else than restiveness. But have they explored it? No. However, because although in recent times authorities, be it government, be it local, be it religious, be it cultural, be it social authorities and leaders, often offer the provision and the reason for youth restiveness. It is the leaders that usually give it to them and channel them into those conditions. I will talk about it going down a bit. And causes of youth restiveness, the biggest cause of youth restiveness in Nigeria is inadequate information and untimely communication of the same information. Most people, they don't even know what is happening. And usually in our place, when they marry her name on the wall, because he's confused. Even when those information are there, you keep it until when they carry placard, you come out and start reading to say, hey, we have done this before, didn't you know? He said, don't know. We are trying to do this, don't you know? He said, they don't know. But if they knew, they may not be restive. But because they don't know, they become restive. So the biggest form of restiveness is timely, inadequate information and untimely communication of those information. By the time you finish talking to them, they say, okay, let's give you time to do what you want to do. But they had already reacted. And once they react, that reaction stays with them for a very long time. It doesn't go out very easily. No matter what you say to them that make them disperse immediately, those reactions, the trust that it breaches, stays in them for a very long time. Then bad governance. Most of my colleagues here have talked about bad governance. And what are we talking about bad governance? Disjointed development. I don't want to go into the political system, how it doesn't carry out the activities that other people have started, maybe due to political reasons. That is why we have abandoned projects in Nigeria up to the tune of 5 trillion. As of 2011, there were about 11,886 abandoned projects in Nigeria. Most of them are poorly conceived. Most of them are done without consultation. Most of them are not financed. Some of them are not even needed where they are put, just because of political reasons. So bad governance, disjointed development, the unethical practices of leaders. I worked very hard to make sure I don't mention the word corrupt. I don't mention it. But these unethical practices, they are very strong. And what do they do? We talked about education here. Once you don't put the schools in order, once you don't put the hospitals in order, once you don't give them opportunities for economic development, they will return back as restive youths. And that is what we are seeing with Nigeria. This unethical attitude towards development and neglect for rule of law, it is not important, it's very important. These leaders fail to properly distinguish between the public fund and private fund. And you see them mixing public and private funds, leading to private misappropriation of public funds. And then they do not provide leadway for anybody. The youth don't see leadway and they become restive. They are restive and agitated, the youth, when they perceive that resources meant for them are being wasted by those in authority. You talked about it. You go out, somebody goes out, 5 months, the person the person comes back with loads of wealth. And at the end of the day, everybody recognizes him. Likewise, somebody we know that was put in authority, maybe a local government chairman, a councillor, or whatever, within 1 year, the person start building, throwing houses up like grenades. Houses will start popping up, cars will start popping up, things will start changing. And the same people you are living with in the same community knows who you are and knows that you just sold this money. How do you expect them to have peace? And most times greed also comes in. When most of these youths think that you have to give them some, and greed won't allow you to give them some, they don't receive. Then rural urban migration caused by lack of good development planning. when people are struggling for resources, then it becomes a problem and they start fighting. The peer pressure motivated by excitement. We know there are so many crises that have been caused at viewing centers. Just that this one is saying, my team will win, your team will win. Peer, somebody has died. Crises have started. So peer pressure is one of it, and victimization for economic exploitation. It also causes youth restiveness. And then effects. Very few on violence, kidnapping and abduction, arson, destruction of property, attacking government agencies and staff. And most importantly, killing innocent people. Most people that are innocent have died because of youth restiveness. That's the most important one. And I don't want to go deep because my friend here has mentioned so many kinds of youth restiveness in Nigeria. Then let's curb it. And in curbing it, we need to come close. We need to start coming home to curb it. Availability of accurate and timely information. It has to come. Bamu, talk to me. The community leaders should talk to their people. Government should talk to citizens. Religious leaders should talk to their people. In as much as religious leaders are always on the pulpit talking. But there's this, I like what you said, that the people you shepherd as a pastor, you also need to go deep and check whether they are well economically, because you don't shepherd an idle person. I didn't go there to jail. Not be so. Yes, I didn't go there to jail. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. So we need to talk to people. We are in an ICT world, so there should be abundant information. And this information, as a youth, in fact, Google placed it that Nigerian youth are one of the biggest users of internet. What are we using our internet for? What are we using? What information are we getting? There's so much information there. Why are we not using it? Google it for the sake of peace. Oboog. We call it Oboog. I personally call it Oboog. Why? Because Pope John Paul I is a woman. No. Pope John Paul I was a black. No. Pope John Paul I was a white. No, it was an Italian. No, it was a Greek. No, it was a Spanish. And fight will start. Instead of fighting it out, Google it for peace. Because once you Google it, you have some rest. I've developed this attitude for a very long time, to the extent that many people do call me from their points of argument. They just call and say, hey, Greg, this, what is it? I say, wait. I'll just Google it and give to them. I will be hearing them to say, oh, what's going on? And it has saved a lot of lives. It has saved a lot of, and brought a lot of peace. Google it for sake. It helps people to express their thoughts. Once you Google, anything you don't know now, just Google it. Once you Google it, you are good. There are so many places you can find so many information. You don't even need to argue with anybody. But once you argue, restiveness sets in. Access to public servants is very important. We talked about information on what government is doing. Pedestrian, where are you? Religious leaders, where are you? Government agencies, where are you? What are you doing? Where can I see you? How many of us youth know about government agencies? Who are there? Do they have Twitter? Do they have Facebook? Do they have WhatsApp? Do they have Snapchat, Instagram? What is the account of government agencies? Right now, I'm sure that every government agency in Nigeria do have a social media handle. But what still, how many of those handles does you know about? You start carrying placard that NDPC, that this ministry has done this. Have you tried to check in their website to know where they are? Have you tried to talk to that government agent? Have you tried? I know the police has a working website. Have you, how many of us have gone into police website? But at least find information, let it be that you didn't see it. So where are we? However, I still maintain that it is the responsibility of leaders to ensure that youth have access to information. Be it religious leader, be it political leader, be it community leader, be it a social leader, be it who would you blame if there's no peace in your environment? Who would you blame? If you become a restive youth, if you become that unintelligent and uneducated youth, who would you blame if there's restiveness in your place? Where you have known that information is there, you can talk, and there are so many other means through which you can talk about peace, through which you can get what you want instead of fighting. You don't have to blame anybody. Nobody can bring peace to you but yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful listening to the five of you talk today, talking about Mr. Greg Ayabudike, the last speaker, Mr. Anthony Mwafo, ASP Kiria Igwe, Honorable Ikenna Nwachukwu, and Mr. Solomon Akpanufo. Thank you. May we put our hands together for them. They did wonderfully well. Well, we have, I'm sure you took notes while they were talking. I don't know if anybody has any questions for them, or if you have questions for them. Is there anybody who has questions? If you have questions, please indicate, or you are still thinking, okay, you have a question to ask. Okay, that means we'll come to you first. But just before that, the Honorable Commissioner for Rural Development has been here, and he's been listening attentively, and I'm sure he has one or two things to say. So please, let's make him welcome with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Please, I want to apologize for being late to this summit. I also want to thank the presenters. They have shown capacity in the various presentations they have to hear today. The much that I made, I've learned quite a lot. I know we are government, we've been able to have done so much in our various communities in Enugu State. And that's why Enugu State is rated amongst the best states in Nigeria currently. So we have learned quite a lot. And I know that it is going to help the government in discharging most of these duties to our various communities in Enugu. I very much appreciate this summit. I appreciate the organizers. They have come up, very good with this team that they have here today. Peace, better pass, Wahalo, waiting our leaders, they do. I will feel much happier if this will be expanded so that it will go wide and for it to be heard by a larger population of our people, mostly especially the youths. There has not been any direction. And I know that with this group,
talking about Godwin Achille, is the head PE and education of ICPC. Put your hands together for him, please.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Let me quickly thank the organizers of this program, Peace Summit 2021. And also, I want to quickly thank all the resource persons for a very wonderful and brilliant paper presentations. Let me quickly say that maybe part of the organizers, as our name is showing here, I'm not talking on the good way, but just to quickly ask a question, because this session you said is for questions. So specifically, I want to maybe dwell or ask a question that borders on the presentation that has to do with our retired director, SSS. Yes, my question is specifically addressed to you. Thank you very much for the presentations. And what we are talking about now is peace, insecurity, violence, and all sorts. And it culminated and ended with the role of the youth, the challenges the youth are facing. Having known that the youth are the most vibrant segment of the society, as we just heard from the last speaker. Having known this, you see, before now, specifically from the 60s, 70s, 80s, we discovered that the level of youth intolerance, youth security failure, all the violence and youth restiveness, as you have said, is not something that is this much until recently. And I'll tell you specifically that as at that time, that the youth restiveness or even violence or insecurity was not this much. I think what would depend largely was issue of intelligence. Intelligence from, even if it is not limited to the DSS now, when we are talking about synergy among all the security apparatus of government, we know that even if it's anything, there was much coordination and things were really going well. So that before any security lapses could happen, it has been laid in the blood. But over time, you hear most people from all angles, from all segments, I'll say this issue of insecurity, this failure has been as a result of intelligence failure. And if it is like that, what is responsible for this? And how do you think we can work assiduously, either together, collectively as security agents, to see that we, advance the discourse and then get out of this insecurity? Thank you very much.
Power cut is part of the problem. Look, you see, the intelligence world is a beautiful thing if you understudy them. There's nothing that happens in Nigeria that the security agencies don't know. I worked for 35 years. There are things the service will do I do not know. The Ministry of Justice don't even know who works for intelligence services. So anything that is happening, of course, we are human beings. These people get information. I listened to a retired naval officer, what he said, even though I had gone to answer some queries for making such. Look, Americans invest so much on intelligence gathering. Don't be surprised at what they are doing here today. They've mounted a satellite on top of us and they are listening to us. Why? If you motivate your people, they will give you information free of charge. But where people who are at the top pretend that nothing is happening, the ones below will not do anything. If they hear, they see if I give now, they come and ask me how I got information. Some of you who are journalists, you don't disclose your source of information. You are protected. But there are people who have gone to give information and they have problems. Like whistle blowers. Am I right? They blew the whistle and they ended up in detention. Why? Because of political considerations. Why will this man be arrested? Because he lost a social party. Is that the issue? The issue is about the peace of the polity. What about individuals. If that man made so much allegations against the security agency, let them come and defend themselves. Let me tell you, there's nothing the intelligence services don't know. One thing is to take a horse to the stream. Another wants to make it drink from that stream. If our leaders begin to be transparent and begin to know that we have a stake, that all of us are critical stakeholders, nothing, these things we are talking about will not be happening. Somebody talked about the radicalization. My brother, it's a difficult to know. Forget about the politics of it. But the CSO should go and interrogate those behind the program. I was in a place where we dealt with terrorism. I was there for 6 years. And at a point I was asking some of our partners, foreign partners, what is radicalization? And they were laughing. I said, what do you mean by that? I said, purging the people of those radical tendencies in them. They said, how do you do it? I think the governor of Borno State said so one of them deceived them. They come and say, yes, we have repented, we have been radicalized, and you put them in the police force and put them in the military. That's the allegation, so I've not seen any. But the government should come out and tell people that these things are lies and defend them very well. Then the CSO should go to them and ask them, tell us the truth. People will not believe the government, but the summary of what I'm trying to say is that there is nothing that is happening that the security agencies don't know. Just like you go to a local community, you say you don't know the criminals there, as a police officer, as a security chief.
What am I trying to say? At the chaos we have as